widowed millionaire hid under the bed to test his fiancée until the maid. The $45 million penthouse overlooking the Golden Bridge was bathed in a soft amber glow, lighting designed to feel warm, yet somehow it still felt cold and hollow. Marcus Ashford stood motionless before the nursery door. He no longer knew how long he had been standing there. A minute, 10 minutes, perhaps longer. All he knew was that his hand remained on the doorknob, yet he did not have the courage to turn it. From inside, soft giggles drifted through the door. 3 tiny souls, Oliver, Sophie, and Noah, were being changed, soothed, and gently comforted by a voice that was light, tender, and calm. It was the voice of Emma Grace Miller. Marcus heard everything, but he did not go in. He turned away slowly, like someone who had grown used to running, to leaving before being forced to feel. The thick carpet beneath his feet swallowed the sound of his steps, just as this house had swallowed every emotion for the past 2 years. 2 years since Helena, his wife, died on the delivery table, her blood and tears mingling with the first cries of their 3 newborn children. He returned to his study and lowered himself into the wide leather chair facing the oak desk. He opened his laptop. The screen lit up, and as it always did, the wallpaper appeared. Helena smiling on their final trip together. That smile used to be the place where he belonged. Now it was only the thing that made his chest tighten. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment and drew in a deep breath. And then there was Emma Grace Miller. She had been here for 4 months, not the head nanny, only an assistant housekeeper. Yet there was something unmistakably different about this 28-year-old woman. Not technique learned from books, but pure instinct, the kind born from too much suffering and too much love. When Oliver cried from nightmares, she needed only to place her hand over his small chest and sing softly, the same trembling lullaby she had sung every night to her cerebral palsy-stricken younger brother back in Mississippi. And the crying would slowly fade. When Sophie refused her bottle, Emma would tell her stories about the endless white cotton fields of home, her voice light as a passing breeze, and the little girl would finish the bottle without even realizing it. Emma came from Oakdale, the poorest rural corner of Mississippi, the daughter of a veteran who had taken his own life and a mother slowly dying of cancer. Her background was unremarkable. She had left Stanford in her final year to care for her sick mother, carried an unpayable $340,000 debt, and once worked 3 jobs at the same time just to send money home. But the 3 babies adored her. Oliver slept more peacefully to the rhythm of her heartbeat. Sophie smiled more when she saw her, and Noah reached for her arms whenever fear crept in. And that mattered more than any degree or pedigree. That afternoon, Marcus came downstairs and found Vanessa Rothwell leafing through an art magazine on the white Hermes sofa. She was flawless as always. A vivid red Chanel dress sculpted every curve as if painted on, platinum blonde hair smooth as silk, makeup without a single smudge, and Tom Ford perfume heavy enough to steal one's breath. "I thought you'd be stuck in your office until evening," she said with a smile that never reached her cold blue eyes. Marcus knew Vanessa was not Helena. No one could replace the wife who had given her life to bring their 3 children into the world. But Vanessa was practical, efficient, seductive. She always seemed to know what to say, what to do, and where to appear to help him forget his pain. And he was too exhausted, too fragile, to question it. "Are the babies well?" Vanessa asked without lifting her eyes from the magazine, her fingers brushing over the image of a painting worth millions. "Emma is with them now, isn't she?" She hesitated, then added with a delicately feigned concern, "Don't you think she's a little too attached to the children?" Her voice was honey-sweet and laced with poison. Poor people sometimes don't understand boundaries. They can misunderstand their place. Marcus did not answer, letting her words drift past him like thin smoke. But deep in his heart, he knew. Something was beginning. Something dangerous was quietly slipping into this multi-million-dollar mansion, where a billionaire father was afraid to touch his own children, a poor housekeeper loved them more than blood itself, and a woman too perfect to be trusted was silently weaving her deadly trap. That night, Emma could not sleep. At 3 a.m, she slipped quietly into the kitchen to brew licorice tea, the only thing that helped her cope with the chronic insomnia that had plagued her ever since the day she witnessed her father take his own life. A narrow beam of light spilling through the crack beneath the library door made her stop short. Who could be awake at such an hour? Marcus usually went to bed at 11, and Mrs. Crowley retired to her room at 9. Emma was about to turn back when she heard Vanessa's voice, cold, utterly different from the sweet tone she used in front of Marcus. "Have you prepared the insurance contract, Derek?" a man replied, his voice professional yet furtive. "It's done. The prenup looks identical to the real one, except for the asset division clause. Once Marcus signs it, you'll have access to all his accounts within 24 hours. Emma froze behind a marble column, her heart hammering violently. Her trembling hand gripped the icy granite wall. "And what about taking the children away?" Vanessa asked, without a trace of hesitation. "Irina will arrive from Las Vegas next week. She's carried out 6 similar operations in Eastern Europe, never failed once. The 3 children will be going on a trip with their new nanny while Marcus is busy signing paperwork." "And if he grows suspicious?" "He won't. He's too weak to suspect anyone, especially you, the perfect woman helping him forget his pain." Derek scoffed. "Besides, insurance policies for the children are perfectly reasonable. What billionaire father wouldn't want to protect his children's assets?" Vanessa exhaled in satisfaction. "The 15th of this month. I want everything completed before Marcus's birthday." Emma felt her blood turn to ice. The 15th, only 12 days away. She stepped back, and her heel struck a brass serving tray beside the table. The metallic clang rang through the silent house like a death bell. "There's someone out there," Derek said sharply. The library lights flared on. Emma turned to run, but Vanessa had already stepped out, her icy blue eyes locking straight onto her. "Emma!" Vanessa's voice turned sweet again, but her smile never reached her eyes. "Can't sleep? Or are you listening to things you shouldn't be listening to?" I just came down for some water." Emma tried to steady her voice, but the trembling glass bottle in her hand betrayed her. Vanessa moved closer, each step a silent threat. "Did you hear anything, Emma? About insurance for the children, perhaps?" "I didn't hear anything," Emma whispered, backing away until her back met the wall. "Good." Vanessa smiled, her fingers brushing Emma's shoulder like one might stroke a cat. "Because if you did hear something and were thinking of doing something reckless, remember this. Who would believe a poor housekeeper over me, the future fiancé of Marcus Ashford?" Then she turned away, leaving Emma trembling alone in the dark. The next morning, Emma rose at 5 o'clock as usual. Her eyes were swollen from a sleepless night, but she still forced herself to prepare breakfast for the 3 babies. At exactly 7, she opened the refrigerator to take out the 6 bottles of organic milk she had prepared the night before. A special formula imported from New Zealand that Marcus ordered monthly at $2,000 per crate. But the refrigerator compartment was empty. Emma searched every shelf, her heart racing. 6 bottles, each worth nearly $100, had vanished as if into thin air. She checked the freezer, the wine cooler, even the vegetable drawers. Nothing. "What are you looking for, Miller?" "Mrs.?" Patricia Crowley's voice cut in behind her, cold and accusatory. The 62-year-old woman had once been a nanny to the British royal family, working like a precise machine devoid of emotion. She stepped into the kitchen, her eyes sweeping over the disorder with disdain. "The baby's 6 bottles of milk are missing, ma'am," Emma swallowed with difficulty. "Missing?" Mrs. Crowley repeated sharply. "Or did you forget to put them away properly? How many times have I reminded you to double-check before locking the refrigerator?" "But I'm certain I put them in last night. I even logged the time in the record book as required." "Where is your record book?" Emma rushed to the drawer. But the notebook was gone. She frantically searched the other drawers, hands trembling, breath shallow. "This is not the first time you've been careless, Miller." Mrs. Crowley folded her arms. "Last week you left the nursery window open all night. The day before yesterday you forgot to turn off the gas stove, and now 6 bottles of milk worth nearly $600. "I didn't forget. Someone must have—" "That's enough." Mrs. Crowley raised a hand. "I will report this to Mr. Ashford." Just then Vanessa appeared in the doorway, dressed in a pure white silk nightgown, looking like an angel who had just awakened. "What's going on?" Her voice was sweet with concern. Mrs. Crowley explained. Vanessa listened, then turned to Emma with feigned compassion. "Oh, Emma, you must be exhausted." She sighed. "I've noticed you've been staying up late lately. Perhaps this job is a little too much for you?" "I'm not tired. I'm sure I put the milk away properly." "Of course." Vanessa smiled, placing a comforting hand on Emma's shoulder, but her fingers tightened just enough to hurt. "But sometimes we think we've done something, when in reality, we haven't. Stress can make our minds confused." She turned to Mrs. Crowley. "Just this once, don't tell Marcus. He already has enough to worry about. I'll order new milk and deduct it from Emma's wages. All right, dear?" Emma bit her lip and nodded, knowing resistance would only make things worse. After Vanessa and Mrs. Crowley left, Rosa, the housekeeper, slipped into the kitchen. She was 50, weathered in face but warm in eyes. "Miss Emma," she whispered, "don't trust Mrs. Crowley. I checked the security cameras last night." Emma looked up, hope flaring. At 3 a.m, someone entered the kitchen, but the footage was completely deleted. The system logged an error from 2:30 to 4 a.m. Rosa looked at Emma meaningfully. "Only 2 people have access to the camera system, Mr. Ashford and Ms. Vanessa." Emma felt her blood turn cold. 2 days later, Emma was preparing the baby's clothes for their routine medical checkup. She opened the wardrobe, and her heart nearly stopped. 3 Ralph Lauren baby outfits, pure white cashmere sweaters with hand embroidery that Marcus had custom ordered from New York, each set priced at $340, lay on the shelf like corpses. They were torn to shreds. Each piece of fabric had been carefully cut apart as if with scissors, deliberate, intentional. Emma stood frozen, trembling as she held a torn piece of cloth. She clearly remembered folding them neatly the night before, placing them in the wardrobe, and locking it herself, using the combination lock known only to her and Mrs. Crowley. "Oh, my God!" Vanessa's scream cracked through the room like thunder. "Emma, what did you do to the baby's clothes?" She rushed in, Mrs. Crowley right behind her. Marcus came running upstairs, his face pale. I didn't do anything. They were still intact last night." Emma stammered. "Intact?" Vanessa lifted a torn piece of fabric, her voice trembling as if she were about to cry. "These were Marcus's birthday gifts to the babies. Each one costs over $300. And you destroyed them." "I swear I didn't do it." Marcus looked at Emma, concern mixed with doubt. "Emma, what is going on?" Before she could answer, Vanessa suddenly pointed to Emma's canvas bag, the old worn bag she had left on the vanity. "What's in her bag?" Emma turned to look. A glint of light shimmered from inside, from the bag she always kept carefully zipped. Vanessa lunged forward, snatched the bag, and dumped its contents onto the bed. Amid the few personal items, an old wallet, a cracked screen phone, $9 lipstick, lay a diamond earring. A Cartier love earring, 18-karat rose gold set with diamonds, sparkling like a dewdrop in sunlight. "My earring," Vanessa screamed, her voice shaking between fury and anguish. "I've been looking for it for 3 days. You dared steal from me?" "No, I've never seen it before. Someone must have—" Emma backed away, eyes burning red. "Someone what?" Vanessa advanced, her perfect face distorted with rage. "Do you think I would put a $47,000 earring into your bag myself? For what? To frame you?" Mrs. Crowley looked at Emma with disgust. "I said it from the beginning. We should never have hired someone with such an unclear background." Marcus fell silent, then spoke slowly. "Emma, come to my office. Now." 15 minutes later, Emma sat across from Marcus in his luxurious study. He did not meet her eyes, staring instead at Helena's photograph on his desk. "Emma, I want to believe you, but—" He exhaled deeply. "Too many things have happened. The missing milk, the ruined clothes, and now the earring." "Mr. Ashford, someone is setting me up. I swear—" "I know," his voice softened, "but I have no evidence to protect you. Vanessa says you're under too much stress. Perhaps you should take a few days off." Emma understood. This was her final warning. That evening, in her tiny room, Emma called Mississippi. Liam's voice, her 16-year-old brother, came through, trembling as always since the accident. "Sis, when are you coming home?" he asked hopefully. "I miss you so much. Mom keeps asking about you." Emma clutched the phone, tears streaming. She remembered finding her father in the garage 10 years ago. The rope, the fallen chair, and the absolute helplessness of an 18-year-old girl unable to save the father she loved. And now that feeling had returned, helpless, alone, and unbelieved. But this time she could not allow herself to collapse. 3 little lives needed her. That night, Emma lay awake until 2 in the morning. Liam's voice echoed in her mind. "When are you coming home?" But how could she go home when 3 little lives were in danger? At 3:15, she gave up on sleep and decided to go downstairs to make some tea. The hallway was pitch dark, lit only by moonlight slipping through the tall glass windows, casting pale shadows across the Persian carpet. But as she passed Marcus's office, Emma noticed a faint glow leaking from the half-open door. Her heart tightened. Marcus never worked this late. She stepped closer, about to knock, then her hand froze. It was not Marcus. Vanessa was kneeling before the hidden wall safe behind the oil painting, the same safe Emma had seen Marcus open only once during a review of important documents. Vanessa's smooth fingers skillfully turned the dial, and with a soft click, the safe swung open. Emma stepped back, hiding behind the heavy velvet curtain. Through the narrow gap, she saw Vanessa pulling out a thick stack of documents, flipping through them with a cold, satisfied smile. Emma pulled out her phone and switched it to silent. Her trembling fingers tapped the camera, but the distance was too far, the light too dim. She zoomed in, struggling to focus on the bold titles printed on the pages. Power of Attorney, Authorization for Financial Transactions. Click. The photo was blurred. Offshore Account Transfer Agreement, Cayman Islands. Click. Her hands shook harder, the image blurred even more. Travel Authorization for Minors, Oliver, Sophie, Noah, Ashford. Click. This one was slightly clearer, but the text was still difficult to read. A chill ran down Emma's spine. This was the proof. This was exactly the plot Derek and Vanessa had discussed before. Just then, Vanessa's phone rang. She put it on speaker, her tone as casual as if it were daytime. "Irina, is everything ready?" A woman's voice with a heavy Russian accent replied, Duh. The private jet is booked for the 15th. Direct flight from San Francisco to Guadalajara, Mexico. 6 hours nonstop. And the children? I'll give them a mild sedative before boarding. They'll sleep the entire flight. No one will notice. When we land, my people in Guadalajara will receive them. After that, Irina chuckled softly, the 3 little ones will disappear forever, or until Marcus Ashford pays $50 million in ransom. $50 million, Vanessa repeated, her eyes gleaming with greed. And he will pay. Weak fathers always do. And if he calls the FBI? Then the children will truly disappear, and I'll still have $50 million from the offshore account Derek already transferred using the fake power of attorney. Vanessa slipped the documents into her Hermes bag. Either way, I win. Emma wanted to scream, to rush in and slap Vanessa, but reason held her back. She needed proof. She needed a recording. Her shaking hand opened the voice recorder, but she trembled too hard, and the phone slipped from her grasp. The sound of it hitting the hardwood floor cracked through the silence like a gunshot. Vanessa spun around. Who's there? Emma didn't think. She acted. She grabbed her phone and ran, faster than she ever had in her life. The sharp clicks of Vanessa's Louboutin heels slammed against the marble floor like war drums, signaling danger in pursuit. But Emma was faster. She tore up the stairs, burst into her room, slammed the door, and locked it. Outside, Vanessa did not knock. She did not shout. There was only silence, more terrifying than any threat. Emma collapsed onto the floor and checked her phone. A few blurred photos. No audio file. The recorder had never started. But she knew the truth now, and even without proof, she would find a way to stop it, no matter the cost. The next morning, Emma woke at 5 after a night in which she had barely slept. She went to the nursery as usual, preparing to wake the 3 little ones for their bath and breakfast. But they were still asleep. Deeply asleep. Unnaturally so. Oliver? Sophie? Noah? Emma gently shook Oliver's shoulder. The boy only murmured faintly before sinking back into sleep, his head dropping, as if he had no strength to hold it up. A chill ran through Emma's heart. She checked Sophie. The little girl was breathing steadily, but did not react when Emma lightly pinched her cheek. Noah was the same, his body limp, eyes tightly shut. This was not normal sleep. Emma rushed downstairs, opened the refrigerator, and took out the milk bottles from the night before. 6 bottles were neatly lined up, but when she lifted one and held it to the light, she saw clearly. At the bottom of each bottle lay a cloudy white sediment that didn't dissolve in the milk. Beside the refrigerator on the kitchen counter sat a small glass vial. No label, no brand, only a sloppy handwritten note. Chamomile drops, 2 milligrams per bottle. Emma opened it and sniffed. No chamomile scent. Only a faint chemical odor, almost undetectable unless one was looking for it. "What are you doing, Miller?" Mrs. Crowley stepped into the kitchen, her face as cold as ice. "What is this?" Emma held up the vial. "Ms. Vanessa adds it to the milk so the babies sleep better. Natural herbal remedy, she says. The children have had trouble sleeping these past few days." "Herbal!" Emma felt her blood boil. "Did you ask a doctor? Is there a prescription?" "There's no prescription needed for herbal remedies, Miller. You're overreacting." Mrs. Crowley snatched the vial from Emma's hand. "Or are you trying to find another way to slander Ms. Vanessa?" Emma did not argue. She discreetly took 1 bottle that still had residue, poured some into a small vial hidden in her pocket, and hurried back to her room. In her wallet, she counted the money she had left, $320. Her salary for the month meant to be sent to her mother and Liam, but she had no other choice. She called Dr. Jonathan Webb, a private physician she had heard Rosa mention, who ran a small clinic in the Mission District. The uninsured consultation fee, $250. Emergency liquid testing, another $150. I need the results today, Dr. Webb. This is life and death. At 3 in the afternoon, Emma's phone rang. Dr. Webb's voice was grave. Ms. Miller, the milk sample you provided contains lorazepam at a 3 milligram dosage. It is a powerful benzodiazepine sedative. For 2.5-year-old children, that dose is enough to induce 10 to 12 hours of heavy sedation and may cause respiratory depression, coma, or even death if used repeatedly. Emma collapsed onto the floor. Can you write a medical report? I need proof. I will email it within 15 minutes. But when Emma printed the report and went to find Marcus, Vanessa blocked her in the hallway. This time, there was no false smile, only eyes sharp as knives. What are you planning to do with that paper, Emma? I have proof. You drugged the children's milk. Vanessa sneered. Proof? A report from a doctor you chose, paid yourself? Who will believe you? The woman who stole a $47,000 earring, ruined the children's clothes, and lost 6 bottles of milk. Or believe me, the future fiancé of Marcus Ashford? She stepped closer, her voice turning lethal. If you dare give that paper to Marcus, I will tell him you are hallucinating, delusional, and possibly dangerous to the children. And he will believe me. You know exactly whom he will trust. Emma clutched the report, her hands trembling. The countdown has begun, Emma, Vanessa whispered in her ear. 9 days left. Then she turned and walked away, leaving Emma standing in the hallway with proof in her hands and no one who would believe her. Emma had no other choice. That evening, when Marcus returned home from his office, she stopped him outside his study. Mr. Ashford, I need to speak with you. It's urgent. Marcus looked at her, exhaustion written across his face. Emma, if this is about the milk or the clothes again? No. Emma's voice trembled, but remained firm. This is about the lives of Oliver, Sophie, and Noah. 5 minutes later, Emma sat across from Marcus in his study. She opened her phone, her shaking hands presenting her first piece of evidence. These are photos I took 3 nights ago. Ms. Vanessa opened your wall safe and removed financial power of attorney documents, offshore transfer agreements, and travel authorizations for the children. Marcus squinted at the screen. The photos were blurry, taken from a distance, the text smeared and hard to read. Emma, I can't see anything clearly. This could be anything. But you can see power of attorney, right? And Cayman Islands? She's planning to seize your assets. Or you photographed legitimate documents I've already signed for Vanessa. Marcus sighed. Do you have any other proof? Emma handed him Dr. Webb's medical report. The babies were given 3 milligrams of lorazepam in their milk. Dr. Webb confirmed this is a life-threatening dose. Marcus read the report, his brow furrowing. But who authorized you to take samples of my children's milk for testing? And Dr. Webb, he isn't our family physician. Because I couldn't wait. Vanessa will... Emma, Marcus cut her off, his tone firm. You took my children's milk for testing without my permission. That is overstepping your authority. But the results, don't you see they're being poisoned? Marcus fell silent, torn between belief and doubt. Emma played her final audio file, a muffled recording filled with static from the night she overheard the conversation. Vanessa and Irina's voices blended with wind and footsteps, ghostly and unclear. The 15th. Guadalajara. 50 million. Emma. Marcus stopped the file and rubbed his temples. What is this? I can barely make out a single word. But you heard the 15th, didn't you? That's the day she plans to kidnap the children. At that moment, the study door flew open. Vanessa rushed in, eyes red as if she had been crying, hair disheveled. Marcus, she started again. Vanessa pointed at Emma, her voice shaking. She's obsessed with our children. She thinks she's their mother." "I'm not." Emma shot to her feet. "She secretly photographed my documents, stole the baby's milk, secretly recorded me. This is the behavior of someone unstable." Vanessa turned to Marcus, tears streaming. "I'm afraid she'll hurt our children, Marcus. I'm terrified." "I've hurt no one. She's the one who—" "Enough!" Marcus slammed his hand on the desk. He closed his eyes and exhaled deeply. "Emma, I think you should leave." Emma's world collapsed. You're firing me?" "I will pay 3 months' severance, but today you must leave this house, right now." "Oh." Emma felt her legs give way. Images flooded her mind, her mother lying in a hospital bed in Mississippi, her body frail from chemotherapy. Her brother Liam in his wheelchair, eyes full of hope, asking, "When are you coming home?" The $340,000 debt crushing her shoulders like stone. And the 3 children, Oliver, Sophie, Noah, the children she had loved as her own. "You will regret this," Emma said, her voice trembling but clear. "When they disappear on the 15th, when you receive the $50 million ransom call, when you discover your accounts have been drained, you will remember what I told you today." She turned and walked out of the study, her shoulders straight, but her heart shattered. Behind Marcus, Vanessa's victorious smile flickered across her lips. In her tiny room, Emma sat on the old single bed, staring at the battered suitcase that had followed her from Mississippi. 28 years of life, and everything she owned fit into that small case. A few simple clothes, a worn pair of shoes, a faded family photograph. A soft knock sounded. Rosa slipped inside and closed the door carefully. "Miss Emma, I heard what happened," Rosa said, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm so sorry." Emma quickly wiped her tears. "It's all right, Rosa. This was Mr. Ashford's decision." "But I believe you." Rosa sat beside her and took her hand. "Marcus Ashford is weak, but he isn't a bad man. He's just been too afraid ever since his wife died. And Vanessa, she's a devil wearing an angel's face." Emma looked at Rosa, and for the first time in days, she didn't feel alone. "Rosa, I need your help," Emma said firmly. "I'm not giving up. The children are in danger." "What are you going to do?" Emma took out a small notebook and quickly wrote down an email address and a phone number. "I'm hiring a private investigator to follow Vanessa. Can you keep me updated on everything in the house? Especially on the 15th, the day the plot will unfold." Rosa nodded. "I will. I can install small cameras in the living room without anyone knowing." The 2 women embraced tightly. Then Emma left the penthouse with her suitcase in hand and steel in her heart. That night, in a cheap motel room in the Tenderloin, the most dangerous district of San Francisco, Emma called Dr. Webb. "Doctor, can your report be sent to Child Protective Services?" "I've already sent it, Ms. Miller. They've promised to investigate." Webb hesitated. "But the process takes 2 to 3 weeks. There must be assessments, review boards, and a court order before they can intervene." 2 weeks. The plot would happen in 4 days. Emma hung up and collapsed onto the old wooden floor of the motel room. Sirens, drunk shouts, and street noise roared outside. She opened her wallet and counted what little money she had left. Only $70 after paying for the motel and the cheapest private investigator she could find. Her phone buzzed. A message from Liam. "Sis, Mom is asking if you sent the money this month. The hospital is asking for medication payments." Emma closed her eyes as tears streamed down her face. Suddenly, a memory surged back, 3 years ago, when she had left Stanford to return home to care for her sick mother. That night, her mother lay on the hospital bed, so thin she was barely recognizable, holding Emma's hand and whispering, "My strong girl, I know you'll protect the people you love." Emma opened her eyes, determination blazing. She opened her old laptop, pulled up Google Maps, and pinned the location of the private airfield in Hayward, where private jets often departed. She began to plan. On the morning of the 15th, she would be there. She would stop it, at any cost. "Mom," Emma whispered into the silent night, "I will save them. Even if I have to trade everything, my life, my future, everything. I will not let them be harmed." And for the first time in days, she slept, a short but deep sleep, the sleep of a warrior preparing for the final battle. 3 days passed like 3 long years. Oliver cried through the nights, his faint call of Ma echoing through the vast penthouse like a desperate plea. Sophie refused to eat, lying motionless in her crib and staring at the ceiling with hollow eyes. Noah burned with a 39-degree fever, his small body trembling, unable to be soothed by anyone except Emma's voice, a voice that was no longer there. Each night Marcus stood outside the nursery door, listening to his children cry, feeling his heart tear apart. He began to doubt. He began to regret. On the evening of January 14th, exactly 1 day before the children's trip, Marcus came home earlier than usual, 6 in the evening instead of 9. He was about to go upstairs to check on the children when voices from the living room stopped him. Vanessa's voice, and another woman's, heavy with a Russian accent. "So it's 9 a.m. tomorrow, Irina. The private jet will depart from Hayward Airport. Have you prepared the sleeping medicine?" "Da. 5 milligrams of lorazepam mixed into juice. The children will sleep deeply for the entire 6-hour flight. When we cross into Mexico, my people will receive them." Marcus froze in place. His blood turned to ice. "And when Marcus calls the police?" Vanessa asked coldly. $50 million will automatically transfer into the Cayman account via the fake power of attorney. Derek has already set the order. The children will disappear permanently if he doesn't cooperate. Vanessa laughed, a cold, cruel sound Marcus had never heard before. "Perfect. That weak Marcus Ashford will pay. He'll pay everything." Marcus could not breathe. His mind spun. Emma had been right. Everything she said was true. His instincts screamed, "Run! Protect your children!" He raced upstairs, stepping lightly across the Persian carpet. The nursery lights were off, the 3 little ones lying in their cribs. Marcus was about to scoop them up and flee when Vanessa's high heels clicked on the stairs. Too late. Panic seized Marcus. He scanned the room, then dove into the corner, dropping to the floor and sliding beneath the bed. In the suffocating darkness, he held his breath. Vanessa entered and turned on the night lamp. The warm yellow glow illuminated her perfect face. But now Marcus could clearly see the cruelty beneath the makeup. "My sweet babies," Vanessa bent over Sophie's crib, her voice falsely tender. "Tomorrow you're going on a little trip. Mommy Vanessa will take very good care of you." Sophie, the 2.5-year-old girl, stared at her in fear. "I want Emma." Vanessa's face twisted. She grabbed Sophie's tiny wrist and squeezed hard until the child cried out. "Shut up!" Vanessa hissed. "Emma has abandoned you. There is no Emma anymore. There's only me. Do you understand?" Hidden beneath the bed, Marcus's entire body shook. His fists clenched so tightly, his nails bit into his palms. He wanted to burst out, to tear apart the monster hurting his child, but his reason held him back. He needed evidence. He needed to hear everything. Vanessa released Sophie, pulled out her phone, and put it on speaker. "Derek, is everything ready?" "All set. Irina will come for the children at 8 tomorrow morning before Marcus wakes up. Rosa has already been fired. There's no one left to interfere." "Good. $50 million. And freedom." Vanessa laughed softly. "Goodbye, weak Marcus Ashford." She hung up, turned off the light, and left the room. In the absolute darkness beneath the bed, Marcus lay still, tears streaming down his face. Emma was right. I was wrong. I betrayed the only person who truly loved my children. And he knew exactly what he had to do. Marcus crawled out from beneath the bed the moment he was certain Vanessa had gone downstairs. He switched on the light and looked at the 3 sleeping children, Oliver still whimpering from hours of crying, Sophie clutching her old stuffed bear, Noah breathing hoarsely with fever. For the first time in 2 years, Marcus Ashford was no longer afraid. He bent down and gently lifted Oliver into his arms. The little boy opened his eyes, looked at his father in confusion, then wrapped his arms tightly around Marcus's neck and burst into sobs. "Daddy, Daddy." "I'm here, sweetheart. Daddy will protect you." Marcus kissed Oliver's head, tears streaming down his face. Then he gathered Sophie and Noah as well, holding all 3 children tightly against his chest. He pulled out his phone and immediately called his personal attorney and the FBI. His voice trembled, but it was resolute. "I need to report a child kidnapping conspiracy, immediately." Then he called Emma. Just one call. She answered on the first ring. "Mr. Ashford?" "Emma, can you come back?" Marcus's voice broke. "I heard everything. You were right. I'm sorry. Please come home." 30 minutes later, Emma ran into the penthouse, her hair disheveled, her face worn from 3 nights in a cheap motel. But when she saw the children, her eyes lit up like stars. "Oliver, Sophie, Noah?" She pulled all 3 into her arms, sobbing. The living room now held 2 FBI agents, Marcus's attorney, and Rosa clutching a USB drive containing footage from the hidden cameras. Vanessa descended the staircase in a silk nightgown, still perfect like a marble statue. But when she saw the scene before her, her face drained of color. "Marcus, what is going on?" "The game is over, Vanessa." Marcus stood up, his voice cold as ice. He played an audio file from his phone. Vanessa and Irina plotting the kidnapping, every word clear. "This is evidence 1. He handed Dr. Webb's sedative report to the FBI. She poisoned my children with sedatives. Evidence 2. He produced the forged documents Derek had prepared. Derek Chen was arrested by the FBI this morning. He confessed to everything. Evidence 3. Rosa stepped forward with the USB. The cameras I installed recorded her drugging the milk, destroying the clothes, and planting the earring in Emma's bag. The 2 FBI agents moved in and snapped handcuffs around Vanessa's wrists. "Vanessa Rothwell, you are under arrest for conspiracy to kidnap minors, poisoning, and financial fraud." Vanessa recoiled, then turned on Emma with eyes full of hatred. "You!" she hissed. "You're just a maid. Marcus will never love someone as low as you." Emma met her gaze, terrifyingly calm. "I don't need him to love me. I only need the children to be safe." She paused, then smiled coldly. "And you? You'll rot in prison. 15 years, I hear. Long enough for your perfect beauty to turn to dust?" Vanessa screamed and struggled as the agents dragged her away. Her cries echoed through the San Francisco night, then faded. And in the penthouse, for the first time in 2 years, children's laughter rang out, the laughter of hope. 2 weeks later, the San Francisco court sentenced Vanessa Rothwell to 15 years in prison for conspiracy to kidnap minors, poisoning, and financial fraud. Derek Chen received 10 years. Irina Volkov was placed on the international wanted list, and in the penthouse in Pacific Heights, life began anew. Emma returned, not as a housekeeper, but as a child development specialist with a salary of $180,000 a year. Marcus went even further. He paid Emma's full Stanford tuition so she could complete her final year in child development psychology. He flew to Mississippi and hired a top oncology team for Emma's mother, covering all chemotherapy and surgery costs. He arranged neurosurgery for Liam at Johns Hopkins Hospital and transferred $340,000 to clear all of the family's debts. "Why are you doing all this?" Emma asked, tears streaming down her face. "Because you saved my children when I was too weak to do so," Marcus said with a sad smile. "This is only a small part of my repayment." 6 months passed. Marcus learned how to be a father, clumsy while changing Oliver's diapers, spilling Sophie's milk on his shirt 3 times in one morning, yet laughing and trying again. He read bedtime stories in a voice as solemn as if reading contracts, making Emma burst into laughter. He learned to cook soup from Rosa, though the first time he poured in an entire jar of salt, forcing everyone to order pizza. But most importantly, he was there, truly there. One Sunday in early August, Marcus and Emma took the children to Golden Gate Park. The San Francisco sunlight was gentle, birds chirped brightly. Oliver ran over and hugged Marcus's leg. "Daddy, look, I found a butterfly." Sophie tugged at Emma's hand. "Mama Emma, come play with me." Noah, the youngest, ran between the 2 adults and threw his arms around both of them. "My family, my family." Marcus and Emma looked at each other and smiled. For the first time, Marcus took Emma's hand, gently, carefully. "I know it's too soon," he said softly, his voice trembling. "But I need you to know. I need you, Emma, not only for the children, but for me." Emma smiled and squeezed his hand in return. "We'll take it one step at a time, Marcus. No rush." And in the afternoon sunlight, the 5 of them stood together, a family born not of blood or legal documents, but of the courage of a woman who had once lost everything, and the love she gave to 3 children who were not her own.